What Seattle Green Party did in getting Gaza demolished and in torturing me quite likely to death is very serious. They're occultly implying, which is their favorite way of communicating, that Gaza intellectuals contributed to helping Nosferatu position himself for the genocide. And I believe that is probably very true. There's a saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Although that may in some case somewhere not be true. There may be some example of a leader with a great deal of charismatic strength who behaved morally. Confucius. It is true in the case of Tony Levin. I saw a feminist scholar on YouTube. I don't remember who she was, but she said that if woman says that she was raped, then she was raped. In other words, you implicate yourself even by asking for a defense. The idea that you can just point your finger and magically make somebody guilty is absolute power. And it corrupted Tony Levin so absolutely that he said, Zap, a man who is being victimized by a gang rape allegation impinged without a victim, is guilty because he left his lover still a virgin after 2 years. Zap, an absolute power. Now, Seattle apes the claim of Abdul the terrorist, who was actually Adam Eisenstadt, the Pittsburgh Israeli berserker working for Donald Trump, who disguised his voice on KDKA. No one is innocent. Seattle abducted innocent people into an argument corn to delay constructive action against Neva pornographic attorneys who laughingly quoted Hewlett. To say that women also laugh and cry. In other words, the psychological strategy of a tug of war between the right and wrong of a consensual sex act was the focal point of the claim that all sex out of wedlock is Satanism and organized crime. And the women fed into this because they wanted the absolute power to say, Zap. If somebody and what was there were loads of money bags at stake. Yoko Ono had filled buckets with gold. Believe my allegation about an innocent person because no one is innocent and you will be paid handsomely. And they claimed that they were not biased. They claimed that they were not scribbling between the lines. They claimed that because the argument could be constructed and neurohypnotic methods impinged on the persona's implant of which he was not aware and they were. They were neurohypnotizing an implant because they could impinge on the persona. The victim must compromise and admit that they are not innocent, or they will be all the more guilty, because to protest is to prove guilt. Only the innocent would only be quiet. Innocence doesn't need a defense. If a black man is lynched, he doesn't need a defense because he was innocent. This is axiomatic and requires no proof, they say. So the fact that they could impinge an allegation in an atmosphere where the victim didn't even know why they were implying so much hostility, a completely insignificant person, he thought. They made him out to be a completely insignificant person, but aha, he was at the crux of an administrative feud, a mean-spirited super argument about a human being's right to exist as a metaphor for abortion. The burning cross of justice, the burning cross of Hitler's fundamentalism, tuned to a revenge attack by a rock star's wife. Cowards, they said. School days they created. The Jericho Project even cooperated in the neurohypnotic abduction of Mackenzie Shirilla. They cried out that urgency was something of a lampoon, that self-incrimination was the key to any attempt to know who they are and why they had done and how they had done what they did. And of course, Palestinian feminists, Iranian feminists at the University of Pittsburgh were advised and couldn't get enough of it because I was the liberal queer bait. It was assault on a little queen. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. The feminists gave that sick jagoff, Tony Levin, absolute power to lie about and lie to a victim who he sold as justified to torture and recreational sadism to death because I'm white. He's white. No, but he's an honorary, the black man, because he can fill up buckets of gold and bribe people to put aside common sense. They said, all you have to do is point your magic finger and the victim is guilty because the victim was accused. So how do we prove rape, Tony Levin? By virginity. How do we prove rape, Tony Levin? By virginity. How do we prove that the children of Gaza are guilty? By the fact that they're buried in rubble. He comes out like Ronald Reagan, goes, boo, the moose is loose, boo.